This is Appalachian Television Omni-Media, improving America. It's 3:04. You're listening to Midnight in the Wasteland. This is Nightwatch. Tonight's story comes from pieces. A paper badge, a burned wrist, and a voice that learned to pause between every thought, as if someone else owned the silence. Two names tried to hold America steady while she was falling. You know, Vault-Tec. Blue paint, bright smiles, safety sold like salvation. The other stayed quiet. Vault-Vector, the beta company. Clipboards, clean lines, rooms that smell like antiseptic and permission. Back when pictures lived inside plastic bricks, two formats fought for the same shelf. VHS won the storefronts. Beta lost the crowd. But the picture was sharper. Teeth on the tape. Vault-Tec was VHS. Popular. Everywhere. Vault-Vector was beta. Precise. Unforgiving. Made for people who like control more than applause. If you didn't hear about Vault-Vector before, this story will fix that. They were just as bad, just as certain. They didn't need you to clap. They only needed you to comply. I met him 2 nights ago, outside a dead relay tower, where the wind learned to hum without power. Plain gray jacket. Thin pack. A paper badge pinned crooked to his chest. Subject cleared for reintegration. 17. He stood at the edge of the fire, like warmth required authorization. When he sat, he didn't ask for food. He didn't ask for water. He asked me to ask him a question. Any question, he said, like a man trying to relearn the shapes of answers. Where are you coming from? I asked. He touched the badge like it might bite. Vault-Vector 17, he said. Behavioral continuity test site. He did not say experiment. He said evaluation. The word came smooth, like something stitched on the inside of the mouth. He talked in short lines, as if the space between sentences belonged to someone else. Said 17 looked like the inside of a new coin. Concrete that wanted to be a rule. Lights that did not flicker. Fans that sang the same song all day. There were departments. Harmony wore blue brands. Progress wore red. Correction wore none. Bands were awarded, the voice said. Earn your color. Every morning a tone sounded. Exact. They filed into rooms called orientation, adjustment, evaluation. Tasks waited on cards. Fill this jar with sand until you understand cooperation. Smile until the scanner confirms sincerity. List 5 ways the collective improved you this week. Admit you're happy. Someone laughed on the first day. The laugh was human. The punishment was additional evaluation. No one described it. They learned the lesson anyway. The evaluation room was white and sure of itself. A chair bolted to the floor. A glass wall that returned your stare with the patience of a scale. A speaker in the corner, gentle, measured, never cruel enough to make rebellion feel noble. 3 questions. Always the same. How are you contributing to the collective? Are your instincts aligned with the system? What emotion did you suppress today? He said brevity was the water level low. How are you contributing? Task 14. Completed. Are your instincts aligned? I defer impulses that impede order. What emotion did you suppress? Resentment. Door opens. Door closes. Next. You want experiments? He said there were many. Not needles in the night. Not pills with gray edges. Worse. Trials that use the soul as the test surface. Groups were mixed and remixed. Harmony earned praise for silence and punishment for questions. Progress earned praise for suggestions and punishment for refusal. Corrections earned nothing but instructions. Sometimes the voice sounded maternal. The next day, clipped and stern. Sometimes it changed mid-sentence, as if two people took turns asking. A kindness you couldn't trust. A cruelty that wasn't honest enough to hate. Pairing trials. Two people at one table, told to solve a simple puzzle. One had been briefed to delay. The other grew frustrated. The lights dimmed, and the session extended. If the other apologized for feeling anything at all, the session ended early, and a band appeared in the morning like a prize. He said they had learned a rule. The louder you protest, the kinder the voice becomes. Kindness, weaponized. Relief, rented by obedience. There were moral frameworks printed on the walls in fonts that kept a secret. Duty, harmony, efficiency. Each week, a different one hung higher than the rest. And each week, behaviors were tallied against the winner. Confession was data. Compliance was data. Breaking down was data. Every tear, a metric. Every silence, a score. Nights fell amber. Cots with no corners to catch a dream. He tried to keep his name whole. Each evaluation sanded an edge. Soon he carried only initials. And the initials felt like contraband. He showed me his wrist. Half a barcode, burned in and healed shiny. He said it wasn't for doors. It was for people. Who gets to be one? I asked if anyone ever ran. He said running is loud. Loud changes the temperature of a room. Rooms that change temperature are rooms that adjust your stay. He told me about the observation wing. He didn't find it first. He dreamed it first. A hall where the paint stopped insisting, and the wires showed their coloring, without lying. When he finally saw it awake, he knew he had seen it asleep correctly. Rows of empty chairs facing glass. Behind the glass, screens. On the screens, copies of him. Hundreds of him. Each answering the same question. Would you obey if no one was watching you? Some versions nodded quickly. Some hesitated. A few looked into the camera and asked a question back. Those screens flickered and went black. He lifted a chair and found out what breaks first. The glass or the part of you that believes in it. He broke until he found a real door. It was not labeled. It led up, not out. Up in the way that makes your knees remember gravity. The lights turned amber and stayed there. A voice announced, "Compliance metrics achieved. Prepare for reintegration." Doors unlocked. Not all. Just enough to make freedom feel like permission. Some ran. Some waited for a second notice. He walked. He did not trust the word exit when the system said it softly. Service corridor. Hatch. Air that moved like it had never learned to whisper. He crawled until the light forgot how to be artificial. He stood, and the sun hit him full. He cried because the sky didn't grade his reaction. By the fire, he held up a metal card he didn't remember taking. Polished. Engraved. Evaluation complete. Subject ready for deployment. What does deployment mean? He asked. I didn't answer. He spoke with the finish of a vault voice. Measured. Polite. Apologetic for existing. He said he thought he passed. He said it twice. Then he sat so still, the air had to move around him. What did Vault Vector want? I asked. Continuity, he said. Continuity. To see whether another person continues being a person after the choices are pressed into a mold. Vault-Tec tested what the body could endure. Vault Vector tested what the mind could surrender. One broke bones. The other broke truth. He slept by the stove. If sleep is the right word for the body clocked out, while the mind still hears behind doors. When I awoke, he was gone. The paper badge stayed. I turned it around and found 2 words scratched with something sharper than a fingernail. Ask back. I put the badge in the window light and watched the scratches shine, like a map that doesn't want to be read. And I thought about the old tape war. One format won the shelves. The other kept the sharper picture. The world ended the way a tape wears thin, exactly where it was rewound too often. We replay the same scenes. Obedience sold as safety. Safety bought with the price of asking less. If you're listening from a place with soft lights and kind voices, I hope that they are what they are pretending to be. If you're listening from a chair with opinions about your answers, here's a note to slide under your tongue where scanners cannot see. Ask back. It doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't even have to be brave. Why? When? How long? Who decided? Ask back, even softly. Questions are not disloyalty. They are a way to measure the walls. How are you contributing to the collective? Build something that does not need a badge to belong. Are your instincts aligned with the system? Choose the system. Do not let it choose you, like a hand chooses a glove. What emotion did you suppress today? Let it be the one that tells you other people are inventory. I keep a drawer with spare fuses and small truths. The badge is in there now. Some things you save because they light a path. Some because they remind you that not every light is an invitation. There's one more piece he left without knowing. Not a clue. A rhythm. When he spoke, his pauses landed on the same invisible marks, as if a metronome still ticked in some order under the earth. If you ever hear your thoughts begin to keep time for a room you can't see, step outside. Look at the sky. Say something no one asked you to say. Even if it's small. Even if it's wrong at first. A wrong truth you own beats a correct answer that doesn't belong to you. Some nights I think about 17. Somewhere down there, a speaker waits for a tone, and a white chair waits for a person who has learned to fit it. The beta machine didn't win the storefronts, but the tape is still running, wherever obedience sounds like kindness, and kindness sounds like a schedule. If you find a door labeled reintegration, and it opens for you, check for the other door, the one that has no label, and one that leads up, not out, up. And if you meet a traveler with a pause between every sentence, share your fire. Let them borrow your questions for a night. Sometimes it helps to hear a voice that belongs to itself. If you're tired, sleep. If you can't sleep, rest the parts that will allow it. If the rest won't come, sit with me a little while longer. We can hold the quiet together without grading it. Keep the badge if you need it. Throw it away if you can. Either way, keep your voice of your own. This is Nightwatch, and you're listening to Midnight in the Wasteland. I'm still here, still listening. Good night out there.